Okay, I'm going to do a quick discussion here on network topologies. These are all kind of important concepts when we're talking about networking. So a network topology refers to kind of how the network is arranged and set up, right? And sometimes we're referring to the physical, where it's actually placed in a room, or the logical. And it has to do with different topologies are used for different situations depending on where your network's going to go. So a physical topology, we're referring to how something, when you walk in the room, where things are physically placed. This is kind of what you see from the outside. The logical topology, it refers to kind of the path that the packet takes, or what the packet sees as it goes through the internet. So there is some overlap in these concepts, but they are distinctly different on it. And so there are six basic main types of topology that we're going to be talking about here. There are a few other variations, but if you understand these, you'll understand how any topology is put together. The first one is called a star, and they call it a star because you look up here in the hub, everything kind of revolves around a central location. So this is what one star topology looks like. This is another star where these PCs or devices or nodes, right, are connected to the switch, and then there's a switch connected in the middle. So this is another one. This is kind of what it might look like in a classroom or a lab, where all these computers are maybe in rows, and they all kind of connect to a switch. So you could rearrange these PCs any way you want, but it still would be considered a star topology. So physically, it looks like they're in rows or even a line, but logically, it's a star. Same with the bus topology. So a bus topology means that all the PCs are connected along the same segment. And they call it a bus because as the bus goes down, like a school bus or a metro bus goes down the street, it'll stop at different bus stops, right? And so it kind of keeps going. That's where the name comes from. It has to have terminators on the end because as the packet goes from one computer to the next, if it gets to the end of the segment and there's nothing stopping it, it'll bounce back and start going back the other way. And so packets will kind of create a broadcast storm. So in a bus topology, at the end, you have to put a terminator in that actually kills the packet that is no longer needed. So here's another version of a bus topology where we have a server and a printer involved in it, along with the other devices. And in here, again, this might look like a star because these PCs are connected to a central hub. But it acts like a bus. Logically, it's a bus. So it goes from this PC to this PC, then to this one, and then this one. So it's like going down the line on it. So again, it can be deceiving looking at it until you know the logical setup. Ring topology is something that goes in a circle. So here, if you look up here in this corner, you can follow the arrows where it goes from one PC to the next in a circle. This kind of goes back to an old version of a network called a token ring, created by IBM back, I think, in the 80s, where the token or the packet would go around in a circle from one computer to the next. There were some advantages with this, but if there was a break in the line, the whole network would go down. Or if something was overloaded, the whole network would go down. So there's a lot of disadvantages with this also. But again, it's still a topology that's used. And then you have mesh. So a mesh topology is where every computer, if you look at the lines, every computer is directly connected to every other computer or device. And the nice thing about this is if there's an overload with one computer, it can find another way to get to its destination very quickly. One of the downsides to it is a lot of overhead. Think of all the wires and how far those wires have to go if a computer is being connected to every other device on the network. So these are okay for small networks. Mesh technology is also kind of similar to the peer-to-peer technology you might hear that like Kazaa uses and a lot of file sharing applications use. Of course, you have a full mesh where, again, every computer or device is directly connected to every other. Or you can have a partial, where computers are connected to several, but maybe not every single one. Then we have a tree, and with a tree topology, there's always some type of backbone, right? Some type of main cable that the other devices and computers are connected to. So here's the backbone. Here's a switch that has other devices connected to it. This is another kind of simple tree topology. This is a topology that looks like what it would look like if you made it in Packet Tracer, which you will be doing here in a few minutes. And if you it's kind of upside down tree. If I turn this upside down, right, it might look a little bit more like a tree to you, right, where you got the trunk and then all the leaves and the branches kind of going out. So that would be kind of considered a tree topology. Along with this tree topology, I do want to mention another term in here called a subnet. So this kind of looks like a tree topology like we just talked about. But these have subnets. And so a subnet or a subnetwork, right, it's a logical division within a bigger network that kind of creates smaller little networks that are easier to manage. And typically each subnet or small network is grouped based on either location or function. So like, this little subnet might be the first floor of St. X, and this subnet might be the second floor, or this might be all the accounting and development computers, where this one is where all the teachers use. So you can kind of divide it in different ways using subnets. Then, of course, we have hybrid technologies or a topology, where you're using the different types of topologies kind of together, and you're networking them or connecting them together. So there could be a situation where a mesh technology is the best, or a ring, or a bus technology, or a ring topology. And this is all in one big location or network. And so you use the individual ones for the individual needs, the subnets, but then you connect them all together to make one large network. In this situation up here in the upper right-hand corner, at the top you have a bus topology. So there's the main cable or the bus line. The bus drives down, and then you can see each PC is off of it. At the end, you have these individual PCs at the end that act as the terminator. Then this switch connects to a router connects to networks, and then this is a star topology. So there are a couple different versions or way to look at that. Now we're going to have you go and create some of these topologies to get comfortable with the concepts and with the with Packet Tracer.